The state in a world shaped by shifting alliances and silent battles, a question echoes louder than ever. Why does one giant stand beside another against a long-standing rival? This is not just about politics or power. It's about strategy, survival by controlling the state, and the unseen game behind every handshake. In this moment of rising tension, when borders blur and interests collide, one truth emerges: state. The decisions of nations are never made in daylight. They're forged in the shadows of history. So listen close. Not to the noise of the world, but to the quiet truth beneath it, because that is where the answer lies. The strategic geopolitical advantage in Asia has increasingly become a central pillar in the foreign policies of major global powers. For the United States, aligning with India serves as a calculated move rooted in long-term interests rather than short-term gains. South Asia is a region teeming with complexity, rife with economic potential, military rivalries, and ideological divides. Among the many actors, India stands out as a democratic giant with a rapidly growing economy, a formidable military, and an increasing willingness to assert its presence on the global stage. This makes India not just a partner, but a pivotal ally in maintaining a balance of power across the region. India's geographic location alone grants it immense strategic value. Situated between the Middle East and Southeast Asia, by controlling the state with access to major sea routes in the Indian Ocean, India holds a commanding position over some of the world's most vital maritime trade pathways. These sea lanes are lifelines for the global economy, carrying oil, goods, and resources across continents. For the United States, ensuring the security of these maritime corridors is essential. By supporting India, America gains a partner that power and influence across these key routes without having to commit extensive U.S. military assets permanently in the region, controlling the state. Moreover, India's proximity to China offers the U.S. a counterbalance to Beijing's growing dominance in Asia. By controlling the state, China has made no secret of its ambitions, from its aggressive military posturing in the South China Sea to its Belt and Road Initiative that seeks to build a China-centered global trade network. In response, the United States sees India as a crucial player in resisting this expansionist vision. Unlike other regional players, India has the size, the state, military capability, and political will to push back against Chinese encroachment, especially in contested areas like the Himalayas or the Indo-Pacific. Controlling the state. This shared concern over China has brought Washington and New Delhi closer, forging military agreements, intelligence sharing, and joint military exercises, all aimed at reinforcing a multipolar Asia rather than a China-dominated one. Beyond military strategy, there is a broader ideological dimension to this alliance. India is the world's largest democracy, and while its internal policies may sometimes draw scrutiny, its alignment with democratic values makes it a more ideologically compatible partner for the United States compared to authoritarian regimes. In an era where global politics increasingly defined by the divide between democratic and autocratic models of governance, India offers the U.S. a foothold in promoting democratic in a region largely dominated by non-democratic actors. Supporting India is therefore seen as a way to reinforce a liberal world order in Asia, pushing back against the rise of authoritarian influence. India's expanding role in regional security forums and multilateral initiatives like the Quad, which includes the U.S., Japan, and Australia, also makes it an essential partner. Through these frameworks, India and the United States can coordinate their efforts on everything from cybersecurity to maritime surveillance, enabling a collaborative response to regional threats. It becomes less about a singular alliance and more building a regional architecture of stability, one where India serves as a keystone power. In contrast, Pakistan, despite being a historic ally, has increasingly been viewed as unpredictable due to its internal instability, links to extremist networks, and its close military ties with China. While the U.S. maintains a level of engagement with Pakistan, the clarity, consistency, and long-term potential of its relationship with India has proven more attractive. The strategic advantage not just in present cooperation, but in the promise of a partnership that can shape the future of Asia, and by extension the world. The partnership between the United States and India has steadily evolved into a powerful axis of economic and defense collaboration, reflecting shared ambitions and mutual interests. Economically, India represents one of the fastest-growing major economies in the world, offering a vast consumer market, a rising middle class, and a booming technology sector. American businesses have increasingly turned to India not just for outsourcing or manufacturing, for deeper integration in areas like artificial intelligence, renewable energy, digital services, and space technology. The United States sees India not merely as a trade partner, but as a potential engine for global economic stability and innovation in the 21st century. State trade between the two countries has grown significantly over the last 2 decades, with both governments working to reduce tariffs and streamline regulations. The U.S. has become one of India's top trading partners, and American companies view India as a key destination for investment due to its demographic advantage and policy reforms aimed at liberalizing the economy. State initiatives like Make in India have drawn American firms looking to diversify their manufacturing base away from China. This economic synergy is not accidental. It is nurtured by both sides in recognition of the strategic value it holds. A strong economic India means a stable partner in Asia, and for the U.S., it offers an alternative to overdependence on adversarial economies. In parallel, holding the defense partnership between India and the United States has witnessed unprecedented growth. The two nations have moved beyond simple arms deals to embrace a more integrated strategic relationship. India has purchased advanced American defense systems such as Apache helicopters, P-8 maritime surveillance aircraft, and C-130 transport planes. More significantly, both countries have signed foundational defense agreements like the Logistics Exchange Memorandum of Agreement, LAMOA, the Communications Compatibility and Security Agreement, COMCAS, and the Basic Exchange and Cooperation Agreement, BCAN. These pacts allow the sharing of critical military logistics, real-time intelligence, encrypted communications, and geospatial data, enabling seamless interoperability between their armed forces. This defense cooperation isn't just theoretical, it plays out in practice through joint military exercises like Libya's Tiger, Triumph, and Malabar, which also includes Japan and Australia. These exercises are designed not only to foster military coordination, but to send a strategic signal to adversaries that India and the U.S. stand ready to secure the Indo-Pacific region. For the United States, a robust defense partnership with India allows it to counterbalance China's military assertiveness without overextending its own forces. India, on the other hand, gains access to advanced military technology and strategic intelligence that enhance its defense posture, particularly along its northern borders. Moreover, the U.S. defense industries India as a lucrative market and a long-term collaborator. Washington has begun co-developing defense technologies with New Delhi, such as drone systems, jet engine technologies, and next-generation combat gear. This goes beyond buyer-seller dynamics and reflects a deeper strategic trust. The U.S. has even elevated India to the status of major defense partner, a designation that eases the transfer of high-end military technologies and marks India as one of the few countries outside NATO to enjoy such privileges. This fusion of economic and defense collaboration is not isolated. It reflects a broader geopolitical calculus. By strengthening India, the U.S. is not only building a vital relationship, but investing in a future global order where power is shared among like-minded democracies. It also offers resilience against cursive economic tactics employed by rival states. India's growing defense self-reliance, supported by American collaboration by controlling the state, helps deter aggression in the region and provides a foundation for collective security. The potential of this partnership lies not just in what it has achieved so far, but controlling this transformative influence it wielded in reshaping the balance of power in Asia and beyond. Controlling the state as influence continues to expand across Asia through economic, military, and diplomatic channels. The United States has increasingly turned to India as a strategic counterbalance. This is not simply a matter of rivalry or containment. It is a recognition that the balance of power in the Indo-Pacific region is undergoing a seismic shift. China's assertiveness in territorial disputes, its aggressive behavior in the South China Sea, its economic coercion of smaller nations, and its growing military footprint have raised alarms globally. In this context, India emerges as one of the few nations in the region with the size, capacity, and political will to push back. India shares a long and often contentious border with China, marked by frequent skirmishes and deep-rooted mistrust. The 2020 Galwan Valley clash, where both nations suffered casualties, brought this reality into sharper focus. While India has traditionally maintained strategic autonomy, the threat posed by China's drive in New Delhi to seek stronger ties with like-minded powers particularly the United States. The U.S., in turn, the state, sees India as a critical partner in its Indo-Pacific strategy, a democratic heavyweight that can project strength and stability in a region increasingly influenced by authoritarian regimes. The Indo-Pacific, a term now central to U.S. foreign policy, is the arena where this strategic alignment plays out most clearly. China has used its Belt and Road Initiative barrack to expand its presence across South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Africa by funding infrastructure and ports in countries like Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and Myanmar. Many of these projects come with strings attached, leading to debt dependency and political leverage for Beijing. India, like the United States, views this with concern. The growing Chinese footprint along its periphery is not just an economic challenge. It is a geopolitical threat. Both Washington and New Delhi understand that a coordinated response is necessary to maintain a free, open, and rules-based order in the region. In response, the United States and India have strengthened their cooperation through multilateral frameworks like the Quad, a strategic dialogue involving the U.S., India, Japan, and Australia. Though not a formal military alliance, the Quad focuses on regional security, maritime cooperation, supply chain resilience, and democratic governance. This alignment allows India and the U.S. to work closely without compromising India's strategic independence, while still forming a robust front to counter turbulence China's unilateralism. The naval exercises conducted under this grouping, particularly the Malabar exercise, symbolize a shared commitment to freedom of navigation and the protection of vital sea lanes in the Indo-Pacific. Technologically, the U.S. has also increased its cooperation within key areas like cyber defense, satellite navigation, controlling the state, and defense manufacturing, all aimed at enhancing its ability to resist Chinese dominance. With China ramping up its influence through 5G technologies, artificial intelligence, and surveillance infrastructure, it becomes essential for countries like India to develop indigenous capabilities supported by reliable partners. The U.S., the state, has stepped in to provide both expertise and access to advanced technologies that can empower India's strategic autonomy. Diplomatically, the state has growing presence in international organizations such as the G20, the BRICS bloc, and the United Nations Security Council has also made it a more influential player. The United States actively supports India's bid for a permanent seat at the Security Council, recognizing that a strengthened Indian voice in global affairs serves as a useful counter to China's ambitions of reshaping global governance structures to its favor. By elevating India's global status, the U.S. contributes to the creation of a more multipolar world where Chinese influence can be more effectively balanced. This strategic convergence between India and the United States is built on mutual recognition of a shared challenge. While India may not openly label its actions as part of an anti-China strategy, its moves align closely with U.S. objectives to check Beijing's rise. The partnership's strength lies in its flexibility. Both nations operate independently, but converge powerfully where interests meet, polling the state. In the unfolding contest for regional dominance, this alignment stands as one of the most formidable checks on China's ambitions. The relationship between the United States and Pakistan has long been marked by a mixture of cooperation, suspicion, and strategic necessity. Controlling the state, while both countries have worked together in various periods, most notably during the Cold War and the post-9/11 war on terror, the foundation of that relationship has always been fragile. Washington has often viewed Pakistan through the lens of short-term tactical goals, especially during the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan and the subsequent U.S. operations against terrorist networks. Yet decades of military aid and diplomatic engagement, Pakistan has consistently presented challenges that have caused U.S. policymakers to question the long-term reliability and strategic alignment of the partnership. One of the most persistent sources of mistrust is Pakistan's complex relationship with extremist groups. While serving as a partner in the fight against terrorism, Pakistan has simultaneously harbored and supported groups that undermine regional stability, including those operating in Afghanistan and targeting India. The discovery of Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, living undetected just miles from Pakistan's top military academy, served as a stark symbol of the double game that many in the U.S. accused Islamabad of playing. This event severely damaged trust and led to growing calls in Washington to reevaluate its support for Pakistan, especially given the billions of dollars in aid that have been provided over the years. In addition to concerns about extremism, Pakistan's domestic instability has also been a key issue. The country has experienced multiple military coups, frequent political crises, and weak civilian institutions. This unpredictability has made it difficult for the United States to establish a stable, long-term strategic relationship. By civil-military relations in Pakistan are often skewed heavily in favor of the army, which dominates foreign policy decisions. By controlling, especially regarding India and Afghanistan, this has created a policy environment that can shift rapidly and without transparency, making consistent engagement challenging for U.S. officials. Nuclear proliferation adds another layer of complexity. Pakistan is one of the few nations with a growing nuclear arsenal, and its strategic doctrine includes the possibility of using nuclear weapons in response to conventional threats from India. This has raised alarms in Washington, not only because of the risks of escalation in South Asia, but also due to the potential for nuclear materials or technologies to fall into the wrong hands. The black market activities of AQ Khan, who helped proliferate nuclear technology to countries like Iran and North Korea, deeply embarrassed Pakistan on the international stage and eroded trust among Western allies, including the United States. By complicating the U.S.-Pakistan dynamic further is Islamabad's increasingly close relationship with China. Over the past decade, Pakistan has leaned heavily into Beijing's orbit, by joining the Belt and Road Initiative and receiving billions in infrastructure investment through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPIC. While this economic partnership has been promoted as mutually beneficial, it has also brought Pakistan deeper under China's strategic influence. For the United States, this alignment with China raises red flags, especially in the context of growing U.S.-China tensions. Pakistan's reliance on Chinese military hardware, financial aid, and diplomatic support reduces its value as a strategic counterweight in the region. Against this backdrop of mistrust and instability, the U.S. finds its partnership with India far more appealing. India offers political stability, a democratic system, and a clear strategic interest in maintaining a rules-based international order. Unlike Pakistan, India does not harbor militant groups that target U.S. state interests or allies, nor does it rely on opaque decision-making processes dominated by the military. India's consistent economic growth and growing global influence also make it a more suitable long-term partner for American interests in the Indo-Pacific and beyond, while the U.S. continues to engage with Pakistan out of necessity, particularly in areas like counterterrorism and regional diplomacy. Its strategic calculations have shifted. The historical baggage of mistrust, combined with Pakistan's internal challenges and external alliances, have led Washington to gradually reduce its dependency on Islamabad. Instead, the focus has turned toward building a more robust and transparent relationship with India, where the promise of strategic alignment, stability, and shared values appears far more certain.